Okay, let's talk about something we've all been through. That feeling, that really awkward, sometimes painful feeling when you forget someone's name. We're going to get into the psychology of why that happens so easily.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? You meet someone, they say their name, you shake their hand, you make eye contact, and then boom, it's just gone. Like it was never there, vanished into thin air just seconds later. What is going on there?
In that moment, oh, it's so awkward. We usually just blame it on having a bad memory, right? We say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm terrible with names. But what if that's not the real story? What if it has nothing to do with a bad memory at all?
Yeah, you heard me. It's true. The latest research in psychology is telling us this isn't a memory problem. It's a feature. It's actually a sign of how a really smart, really active brain works.
So let's just lay it all out. The myth we all believe is that our memory's failing us. But the reality? The reality is that your brain is being super efficient. It's like a bouncer at a club, deciding who gets in. And a lot of the time, names, well, they just don't make the cut.
Okay, so we're going to dive into the 5 big reasons why a name just seems to evaporate the second you hear it. Let's get right to it. Reason number 1.
All right, first up, and this is a big one. The problem isn't actually you. The problem is the name itself.
Okay, so here's the deal. To your brain, a name is basically just a random word, an arbitrary label. A name like John or Sarah has no real connection to anything else. But if you find out John is a firefighter who loves dogs, now that's information your brain can work with. It's a story, it's a connection. A name all by itself is like a file with no label, floating around with nowhere to go. So your brain just kind of lets it drift away.
Okay, on to number 2. This one is all about attention. Or maybe a lack of it. Think about what's actually happening when you meet someone new. Your brain is going a mile a minute, right? You're trying to make a good impression, you're thinking about what clever thing to say next, you're wondering if your handshake was too firm or too limp. Your mental energy is all over the place. And because your attention is so divided, the name, it just never really gets a chance to sink in. It's not a memory failure, it's an attention issue. The front door to your memory was just too crowded.
All right, reason number 3. For this one, we have to go way, way back, like evolutionarily speaking.
Just think about it for a second. Our ancestors needed to recognize faces, friend or foe, long before we started using formal names. It was a survival thing. And because of that, your brain has a whole special area just for remembering faces. It's why you can see someone you haven't seen in 10 years and think, I know that face, but have absolutely no clue what their name is. Your brain is hardwired to prioritize what it can see over what it hears.
Okay, coming in at number 4, and this one might actually make a lot of you feel a bit better, especially if you're an overthinker.
So it turns out, people with super active minds often have the hardest time with names. Why? Well, if your brain is constantly buzzing, thinking about a dozen different things at once, it leads to something called cognitive overload. It's literally like having 50 tabs open on your internet browser. The whole system gets laggy and slow. And when your brain is that overloaded, trying to save a new piece of information, like a name, is almost impossible. There's just no available RAM.
And here's the big takeaway from that. Forgetting a name doesn't mean you're not smart. Not at all. In fact, it can be a direct result of having a highly engaged, analytical mind that's constantly processing everything around you. It's a trade-off, really.
And that leads us right into our 5th and final reason why names just seem to slip through our fingers. Okay, so our brains are basically giant connection-making machines. Memory works by linking new stuff to old stuff we already know. It's all about association. That's why the classic example works so well. If you meet a guy named Mr. Baker, and he's actually a baker, you'll probably never forget his name. But most of the time when we meet someone, it's just, hi, I'm Dave. It happens so fast, there's no time to form any kind of hook or connection. So that name, Dave, becomes a free-floating piece of random data, and your brain just purges it.
So when you take a step back and look at all 5 of these reasons together, you start to see a pattern, right? Forgetting names isn't a sign of failure. It's not a flaw. You could almost call it the busy mind advantage. Your brain isn't broken. It's just being brilliant.
So the most important thing to remember here is that your brain is not failing you. Not even close. When it drops a name, it's actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do, managing an insane amount of information that's coming at it every single second.
Basically, it's dealing with that cognitive overload we talked about. It's prioritizing stuff that actually matters, that has meaning. And it's filtering out those random, arbitrary labels that don't really help you navigate the world. Your brain is a master of efficiency. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If forgetting names isn't really a flaw but a feature, what else do we beat ourselves up for? What other so-called weaknesses are actually our brain's hidden strengths at work? Definitely something worth thinking about.